space.
Yeah, I think my problem is I only have one, so it's just like it would look kind of odd on its own.
Yeah, I need more.
We all need more, and we're live. Just so you know, I just wanted to let you know we're being live streamed right now.
I always need more tattoos.
We all do. Um, Thank you so much for joining us today, Drawing for Tattooers. With us this morning, we have Elise and Amber Morgaine. So great to have you both. So if this is working for you on YouTube, let us know in the chats. I know Amber, you keep up with the chats, so
yes, I don't have it on yet, but I'm gonna get it on right now. I forgot. I woke up a little late
totally
this morning.
Yeah, it's it's hard. It's hard to keep up with the chats and to do everything, but it's important. We love you, chat. So so let us know if this is working for you and where you're
I
watching us
always
from.
try to encourage everybody in the chat to come in live.
Yeah, that's awesome. The more the merrier. Like to a certain extent, if we get 100 people, it'll be it'll be a good problem.
Pandemonium.
Yeah.
So hey, good morning, Medusa Slays. So good to have you.
Good morning.
And Spirit has just joined us, so that's awesome.
Nice.
Well, we really got the gang together today, and that's it's always like, I mean, I count on all. I'm gonna put it on you. I count on all of you to come to this. It really makes it it makes it so much better. But I always get that anxiety, like God, we could totally nobody could come and it could be so boring. So anyway, I'm really it's really great. It's great that everybody was able to make it today. So I'm gonna do these the announcements that I got to do, and then we'll get into it. So good morning, everybody, and welcome to Guy Atchison's Reinventing the Tattoo community, where tattooers, apprentices, and the curious and collectors are all encouraged to join these live and real-world events. So our goal is to inspire and ultimately create better art and tattoos together. We beam out nearly every single day, and with your help, have become an amazing network of quality live on-demand tattoo art shows that have been receiving rave reviews. You can find more at reinventingthetattoo.com. And let me share. I want to make it big. Okay, good. All right, so here it is, reinventingthetattoo.com. So you can find us on all the app stores, Apple App Store, Google Play Store. We have a YouTube channel as well as a Roku. So you can find more at reinventingthetattoo.com/Roku. You can also find us on all the major podcast directories, such as Apple, Spotify. But no matter where you're finding us, you can always see the latest and greatest at reinventingthetattoo.com. So we have a number of weekly staple shows. Beginning on Sundays, we have the Sunday Skill Building Drawers Group, hosted by Jason Leeser. It's followed on Mondays at 9 a.m. Eastern, Drawing for Tattooers, with host James Wisdom. That's me. You're here. Hey. You made it. Yay! Yeah, so welcome to Drawing for Tattooers. So also on Mondays at 11, we have the Tattoo Weekly. Yeah, Tattoo Weekly, hosted by Lauren Gregory, Jake Meeks, and Gabe Ripley. It's followed at 5 p.m. on Mondays. Let's Talk About Feelings with Robbie Ripple. At 9 p.m. Eastern, we have the subscribers exclusive drawing groups led by Guy Atchison and Sandy McAndrews. Tuesday at 10 a.m. We have the Tuesday Feels Drawing Group hosted by Ricardo Sturdivant. Wednesdays at 1 p.m. we have the Tattoo Now show. On Thursdays at 6 p.m. we have the Tattoo Collecting 101 podcast hosted by Fawn Baker. So now we'd like to take a moment and we'd like to thank our sponsors. So Tattoo Now. Tattoo Now is technology for tattooers. It's the leading edge of professional development and management software. They have upgrades, mailing lists, as well as CRM. So be sure to check out Tattoo Now for all your communication needs. And then, of course, we'd like to thank, again, Guy Aitchison for being the founder and inspiration behind Reinventing the Tattoo. You can learn more about Guy Aitchison by going to guyaitchison.com, where you can find all sorts of tattoo merchandise, prints, original art, coil machines, tattoo educational content galore. Very cool site. So check out guyaitchison.com to learn more. And yeah, I think we did it. So great. Awesome. Thanks for hanging out, everybody.
Good morning, Medusa.
Yeah, good morning.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Good fucking morning, guys.
Oh,
It's 6 a.m. What are you doing?
I'm impressed.
Early. It's early for you, right? What time is it? You said 6 a.m.?
Yeah, I woke up at 5:30 and then I hit my snooze alarm a couple of times. And then I made it because I wanted to be all like, hi.
Oh, you are all like, hi.
I've missed you. I haven't seen you lately.
I've been busy working a lot. Also, Petco sent me way too much snake food. So I've been practicing my skills in taxidermy because they won't keep too long. So sorry, I've been busy.
Oh, with the rats and stuff?
Yeah, the snake food. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, but sorry, I've just been busy. What's up, guys? Hello, everybody. Let's learn how to draw.
Happy Monday morning.
Yeah, happy Monday morning, everybody. Yeah, we I've got all kinds of stuff to talk about today, and so I'm really excited. And that
makes me excited.
Good. No, I am like, I really I thought about it a lot, like over the week, and my I know that sometimes there's this there's so much like that we want. It's like I just want like the secret, or I just want like to some sort of shortcut to whatever. And it's like, I don't know any of that shit. It's like there's no secret, there's no shortcut that I know of, really. It just
We just don't learn like that.
Right. I really kind of feel like there's there's this sort of building that happens, right? Kind of build up slowly. Building. It is a building, and there's a foundation and stuff. There's also all the metaphors that you want to to use. So anyway, I'm collecting a few images to share with you. Does anybody have any artwork or drawings that they'd like to share? I'd love to see what you all have, and for you to be able to share what you've been working on. So if anybody has anything, please.
Is everybody's cameras on? Oh, all right, sweet, I'll go. All right. So I guess the homework was kind of, we were working on oh, good, now I can see everybody. The homework was kind of like, we were supposed to work on ratio and proportion. I'm still trying to wrap my brain around that one. I did take a few pictures, but just like I said, it was like a building. But I have been working on this one piece all week. I think I just started on it like just a few days ago. Hold on, let me actually do this real quick. You like my whole music?
Love it.
Yes.
Oh, thank you. All right, here we
go. You should take that on the road.
Oh yeah? Whoa, okay, that's great. Quit my day job. Yeah. So This is from one of my art parents. His name is Alphonse Muka. And I wouldn't have been able to do this before I started this class. Definitely not without as much confidence. And this is clearly, this is where it comes from.
That's excellent.
Thank you.
So, so were you like observing the image and drawing it from from observation? That's
just from observation.
I think that's very, very cool.
Beautiful.
What was it? Yeah, what was it like? I want to learn more. I want to hear more.
So I definitely used the little thing that I learned in the book. You see this little where I was able to kind of like make this angle here with the fingers.
Yeah.
And then I was able to just kind of like reproduce that. So what I would do is I would say, okay, so like the side of her face, you know, lines up with the crook of her neck. Her eyes line up with the tip of her, you know, tip of her mouth. You know, and it's not exact, it's not perfect, you know, by a long shot. I mean, this girl does not look like this girl. You know what I'm saying? But this girl looks like a girl. Like it looks like a person. You know what I mean? That's what I'm kind of getting at. Same with this guy. You know, and I would just keep doing that. I would just, this area is kind of confusing for me. This part seems a little elongated, but you know, it is what it is. And I'm just, you know, just keep lining everything up, The working with the hands has really helped me as well. Here. Just understanding that everything is everything's a shape. You know, this is just this flat surface. Talking about the planes the other day has really helped me because, you know, I'm able to realize that this is like a dark, you know, like a dark area, you know, and this is also kind of a dark area and it pushes that up. And just thinking about like tonal value was helping me over with the hair. And hair is a challenge for me. It always has been. But I'm pretty proud of how this turns out. I mean, it's not, you know, exactly the same, but it's mine. You know, nose is a little crooked. Still trying to work on that, but all in all, I'm proud of it. I think I'm happy. I think it's really cool. It's fun spending time with your art parents. You know what I mean? You know, you're just kind of soaking up the good stuff.
I'm so just like, you know, pleased and happy like that that was something that you felt like helped you, you know, like especially thinking about alignments and then talking about planes. It made all the sense in the world when I saw your drawing and, you know, and how you're how it's like you could see how you're thinking about it. And I think that's like, you know, so hair is like this, you know, this perfect metaphor, right? It's a perfect storm of like, you know, like all this detail. We can't draw the hairs really, you know, it's always going to be this gesture and the shape, you know, like you said, you know, so if you think about it in terms of shapes and then planes, you render that, you can get to this point where it starts to, you know, give this feeling of hair, you know. But if you were to draw every single hair, it just turns into like a bowl of spaghetti, you know, rather than a hair. So I thought I feel like the drawing had a real clear, you know, it was distinctly, you know, referencing that. It looked of course they look like people, and then also I thought it was really well handled. And I liked all the real thick outlines and stuff too. That really strong contour. That's really evocative of the Art Nouveau style. And then it just so
I love Art Nouveau. It's just so oh my god, it's just such a flowy, beautiful, the sepia tone colors.
Yeah,
You know,
beautiful.
It's beautiful.
It's so organic.
Organic, yes, absolutely. Yep.
Thank you for sharing that. I thought that was I thought that was excellent. That, and just, you know, and you just did it for your own enrichment, right? Like, it's, you know, you did it for practice and for fun, and you loved Muka and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I wanted to kind of continue with the, you know, when I was doing the drawings the other week, where I was able to just, you know, bang them out. I was like, well, let me try to see if I could do this with something more difficult. You know, let me try from one of the masters, you know. And I was able to do it, you know, in my way. I mean, you know, so that's that's very exciting. I mean, it's very, very exciting, you know, because like now it's like, oh God, I can find some more secrets. You know, I can go and you go when you drawing. Well, drawing is you're pulling something from, you know, what you're doing, and that's what I'm going to be, you know, exploring.
I'm pretty convinced that you probably learned so much, even more than you can express to us right now, that there were so many insights that you gained while doing it. Because I believe in it. I think we copy, you know, you copy others, not to take on what they, not to do what they do, but we copy others so we learn who we are. Right? It's like you learn more about yourself through this you know, this way of copying. It's not to like, you know, to you know, impersonate them. It's that building thing. It's like I guess you end up becoming who you are kind of through this, you know, because we all learn from each other. We all learn from people from the past. We all do. It's just how we're to the stage that we're at. So
and that's how the masters would teach. Like if you were going to apprentice with Michelangelo or Da Vinci, that's what they would do. Like you couldn't draw from real life. You had to sit down and draw their paintings or paint their paintings.
Right.
And then you could graduate from that and draw real life. You know?
Yeah.
So
yeah. No, it's awesome.
That's what I'm doing.
Yeah. Thank you, Spirit.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you for that. That's awesome.
Thank you, Mr. Wisdom.
Right.
I appreciate it.
Mr. Wisdom is my father. All right, so anybody else want to show some drawings? I'd love to see. Medusa.
Oh, well, I started to put my hand down, as you said, show some drawings, because I don't want to show a drawing. I want to show my snake food that I've been fiddling with.
Let's see that snake food.
Oh
my God.
It's amazing.
Oh my God.
I love it.
He's a ninja.
That's great.
And he's in the Cheese Clan, and I made him little size.
He's ready. He's ready for that snake. I don't know if you call him snake food.
Yeah, his name is Shogun Jerry. And I made little throwing stars for him too.
Oh, that's so cool.
The first ones were out of Sculpey clay. But I'm really bad at sculpting. So then I cut ones out and glued foil around them, and then I accidentally threw it away because I thought it was part of the foil scraps.
Oh, goodness.
So, this is my third attempt at little throwing stars for him. These are cut out of cardboard. And I made a Torii for his little background. Because he to his temple where he meditates, because he's a disciplined ninja. And that's all I got so far.
Yay, thank you for sharing.
I didn't make any drawings though.
You could make them and sell them, because I would buy one.
Maybe. We'll see. I just might make my little friends for myself and my snake. I did give the leftovers to my snake though. He's happy.
Oh, I'm sure.
Very happy. So,
well, it could become like the inspiration for a graphic novel or something. You know what I mean? You could now that you've you generated this, there's all sorts of ways you could take it.
Now you got to flesh out the character.
His little shoes keep falling off though. But yeah, so I haven't been drawing. I've been utilizing the skills I learned in a taxidermy class like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So no drawings, but little shoes on my little guy.
That's so cool.
And
well,
he's in the cheese clan.
Well, so I think so. Did you have to make like patterns to sew any of that stuff, or was it just like?
I did. I made some patterns, and I did sketch out a couple of concepts and all
See?
of that. So that did require some drawing.
So you did have to draw. We're always drawing, right? We can't get away from it. We're always
Yeah.
sketching things in, and I think it's I mean, it's more than just a metaphor. Like we're doing it. So even if you have to write something, you're gonna, sort of sketch it in, outline it, or something like that. Um, I guess it maybe it's just it's a way of thinking. You know what I mean? Like drawing is sort of this, it's how you're getting out like the ideas, right? It's kind of, so it is beautiful in itself. Like the patterns you made, like they're probably amazing, and it could be a product, but you used it as a means to an end to create the ghee for the cheese clan, and all the weaponry and stuff. So I guess it's so that you're sort of synthesizing all these things, right? The drawing and then the taxidermy skills and all that stuff, and it's really coming. You're making new things out of all of the ideas that you've been working with. So I think that's cool.
Yeah, been trying to stick to recycling materials around the house too. Like, this is made out of like a couple of pieces of cardboard that I cut out, and I already had some felt and everything. I foiled the blades with like aluminum foil.
Very
You
cool.
use like an X-Acto knife?
Yeah. Yep. I use a little X-Acto knife. I made this out of a LaCroix box. And then I glued foil around the edges and just painted the tips to look like a little handle. But yeah, I'm actually trying to downsize everything I have. And so this is a way that I can like utilize just the stuff in my house to put it together into something. And then maybe later I can get rid of it.
Nice.
Yeah, that's cool.
I do kind of a similar thing because there was a point in the pandemic where I had way too many like Amazon boxes because I was getting everything delivered to my house. So I started building stuff. So I have it. It was the beginning of a little house. Will it show up? But yeah.
That's so cool.
You make every like individual.
Yeah. So I cut
oh my
up.
God, you're so nifty.
I can show you the secrets. It's actually just Amazon boxes on the bottom. But yeah, it was just a bunch of like a bunch of little boxes. I made like little shelves and stuff that I was gonna put in there. Yeah.
You're so inspiring and crafty. Now I have so many ideas for what to do with my next rat because Petco sent me a lot. And they won't keep in the freezer that long. They'll get freezer burn.
God.
Yeah.
I'm really glad to see this because I've been wanting to like just make things with my hands lately,
Yeah. Here, I think I have another one.
I feel like crafting with your hands, like, like fucking popsicle crafts and stuff, brings out an artistic side that makes it so that you actually have to utilize just the things that are around you. Kind of thinking outside the box. And always like you're drafting up plans and everything on paper. You're utilizing whatever tools you have around you. And I think that's a really good way to get the brain rolling and stuff. I've been working a little bit on this every morning before work, and I feel like it's a really good brain exercise, just like crafting and making crap out of crap.
Yeah.
And,
Mhm,
and by the time I get to
yeah.
work, I've already been crafting for a couple of hours in the morning, and I've already got like those brain exercises done. So when I come to problems at work, like, oh shit, like how am I gonna like shade this object for this client that's going to be coming in a couple of days, and I haven't really sorted out my light source and everything. Fuck, I got all these little things at home that I can use to craft into a model, set a lamp up next to it and be like, oh, okay, like that's how I can
That's
start.
one of the things that I've been trying to do, get into modeling.
Like these
Yeah,
skills
Atchison
come
talks a lot
full
about that.
circle.
Yeah.
And also I think
crazy.
it's just a really good way to keep yourself like, because I know that I personally can get burnt out from drawing all the time. If I'm drawing all the time, like I can get burnt out from it, and that's like one of the downsides of turning your hobby into a career, is that it can become chore like. So utilizing your artistic skills in different ways can kind of keep your brain rolling in that artistic moment, but you don't actually have to be doing the same thing the whole time. And it's like, it's a problem solving endeavor too. It really helps with a lot of problem solving skills. And also, I did not know how fabric is supposed to fold and how like things are supposed to lay on you until I had to like draw out like a few different patterns to try to make this gi. It was really fun. But yeah, I kind of want to know more about your little model house. I want to know about everybody's popsicle crafts. Sorry, I'm like bogarting the drawing
I'm about to get into
nice.
craft,
Check that
and we're
one
gonna
out.
build a little community and whatnot.
So this was one that I was working on before. It's supposed to be like a wonky house. I never finished it just because life got in the way, but maybe one day. I have my little notes written on there about what I was gonna do. Yeah.
Nice. Did you like sketch out like blueprints and stuff for everything before you just started putting stuff together, or did you kind of, go balls to the wall and just be like, we'll see where the glue lands?
No, I sketched out all the pieces because I had to measure, especially for that one, I had to measure like the size of the bottom and then the size of the top, since it's like more rhombus shaped. So I did have to like measure out all of the pieces to make sure they would all fit together. But yeah, it's all just cardboard and hot glue.
Nice. You're so clever.
That's so cool.
Cool.
My little drawing isn't nearly as impressive as all of that.
Your drawing is very impressive. You're on your own journey.
Yeah.
I just finished designing a paisley hip piece.
Oh, I want to see.
Oh.
Ooh.
It's very pretty.
I apparently enjoy making work for myself.
Yeah. And that's the thing about being an artist, is just never done until it's done.
No. I thought this was done 3 times, and then I'd look at it the next day and go, no, that needs more black over here. It's not balanced.
I have a hard time telling when things are supposed to be done.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. That's really pretty. How is it gonna lay on the hip?
Actually, it's upside down.
Okay.
That
makes way more sense.
Yeah, I just realized it was upside down.
Are you going to bring it forward on the thigh a little bit, or is it going to just be all
it's designed to start on the hip here and go forward to the thigh.
Oh, I like that curvature, that wrap.
And that way, if they want to continue the piece, you can add more paisley pieces to it to wrap around or go up into the, like more on the ribs. Beautiful. I'm really into paisley lately.
Well, it's beautiful. I definitely and I like what you were saying about like you keep coming back to it and making discernments about it needs a little bit more value over here. It needs this needs to be darker or whatever.
Yeah, it needs to be more balanced and make your eye travel through it rather than land on one spot and stay.
It definitely has a lot of motion to it, right? It moves our eyes around, I think, like, quite a bit. So there's a lot of interest, and so yeah. But there was a nice, like, sort of a flower motif, like right in the middle.
Yeah.
It's kind of like almost like everything kind of emanates out from that, from that point. So there's a lot. I think there's a lot of, like, really smart decisions that you made, and there's a lot of consistency that you've gotten so far, and I think that's it's just it just speaks to the quality, right? There's a really, there's a nice quality to it, and yeah, it is really
Thank you.
beautiful too. So yeah, nice work. Thanks for
Thank you
yeah. So
very
that
much.
was impressive. What are you talking
So,
about?
are you gonna tattoo this, or is it mainly just for your own pleasure?
I do plan on tattooing it eventually. It will be up for grabs once I'm further along in my new apprenticeship. I don't expect to
Gotcha.
be able to tattoo that right now. I expect to get to the point where I can tattoo that.
How long does a typical
Okay, gotcha.
apprenticeship take?
It really depends on the state.
Mm.
Some states you only need 20 hours.
Oh,
Some states
Wow.
don't have
What?
regulations, and it just depends on who's
think
apprenticing,
I think I had a friend that
Wow.
they were like, "Oh yeah, it's 2 years." I'm like, "Oh my god."
I had a friend
South
apprentice
Carolina is
for
associate's
over
degree.
5 years. He's an incredible artist, but he was technically an apprentice, and he was tattooing into his 3rd year, but he apprenticed. He didn't get the name of artist until 5 years after his apprenticeship. And in Oregon, you have to go to a school. And yeah, different states have different regulations, and some states don't have any regulations at all. So it's really just up to the mentor whenever you're ready.
Wow.
I'm curious to know how long that James apprenticed. Mr. James Wisdom.
I apprenticed for probably about 9 months or so. I think that would probably be a good estimate. It was started in 2000, and so by 2001 I was working full time. But so I lived in Indiana. I lived in Indiana then, and so there really wasn't any regulation to it. It really was up to the mentors. And so, yeah, I think there's all kinds of stuff that you just
That's what's
can't
up, James.
learn.
You're a lifer.
Hey.
Yeah, I did it for quite a number of years, and then I went to school for a while, and then I started, working at school and stuff. And the real, really, like, my desire for more school, like, to learn about art, was to sort of bring it back to my tattooing. And so I'm really trying to do that. I'm really trying to do that now. I think it's taken a long time. It's been a really long sort of journey, but that's a big part of my goal, or like the trajectory is I really want to. I've always wanted to bring that together. I've always wondered. Like, I love the art museum, or I love going to the museum, and it's so full of stuff. It's really, for lack of a better word, a museum is full of stuff, and it's like, what am I looking at? Honestly, like, what am I looking at? You can be totally overwhelmed and not, it just, anyway, I always wondered. I really did. And I think the same thing with tattoos as well. Like, I've seen them my
What am
whole
I
life.
looking
I'm
at? That's a great
fascinated.
question.
Yeah, what am I looking at here? And so I think it's inexhaustible, right? That's, I think, the point of it. You're always going to learn more, right? Because they are cultural expressions. And so, but I think that's a part of, again, I think hopefully what I'm bringing is that, like, I'm always learning. I'm always trying to learn more about it. But then to share, what I've got, and to also to enjoy and share with, what other people bring, the things that you like, the things that like you're interested in, the stuff that you all know, like that all, I find it incredibly enriching. So yeah, that's me. But Stephen, you're up.
I've got my drawing from Monday night class that I've completed this week. If you guys want to check that out.
Love to see that.
Definitely.
Bruh,
Oh, wow.
my eyes are getting teary just looking at that.
Yes.
Got the double onion, onion and chives, I guess.
Delicious.
Excellent. Yeah, no, I really like the composition, and you were able to, I'm working on mine as well. Mine's still in progress, but so I'm doing a knife with food as well. And I really like what you came up with, Stephen. Like the chives add a nice element of movement, some flow. To otherwise it's like a really static knife. You know what I mean? It's really static. So there's that, and then also the swirl in the onion too has a nice sort of rhythm to the to the middle of it and stuff.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
Yeah, that's pretty fucking sick. I'm hungry.
Yeah, that was a general consensus last Monday. We were all like drawing food and knives and stuff, and everybody was getting it was like hunger pangs all night. So it really was
like watching too much
it was a lot of
network.
fun. Right.
Can't wait to get back to Monday nights.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So for everybody that's listening and for everybody here, if you're not sure what we're talking about, on Monday nights, a group of us get together and we draw. And so there's a client, there's a sort of an imagined client, will want something. And so we'll have some references and we'll try to design a tattoo, but we'll use a process, right? So we'll do like some quick sketches and then make it a little bit more formal. And then we'll have a week to refine it a little bit more. And so I think it's a great exercise.
What time?
Again, it's at 9 p.m.s on
Ooh,
9
y'all
p.m.
be getting it
Eastern.
in late, bro. Ooh, okay.
It does.
I'm 42. That's late
go.
now.
I'm 26. That's late for me too.
It is late.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
it's
It's only
late.
6 p.m. for me.
Oh, you good then.
Right. Yeah. So it keeps it balanced, right? It keeps it balanced. Well, so I think
are all invited?
Well, it's a subscription.
It's
So
a subscription. Yeah, cool.
yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
If you go to reinventingthetattoo.com, you can find this drawing group. And so there is just I believe that you can just join it, so you can subscribe to it for a low price. And then there's also included in it. There's also a curriculum that enrolls on a trimester basis. So so whenever enrollment is open, you can. It's basically it's very similar to the canon. If so the Reinventing the Tattoo book is very similarly sort of all the lessons and the information from that book is sort of included in the curriculum. And on Monday nights we sort of go over a little bit what was the material for that week. It's really a class, and it's pretty rigorous, but you get out of it what you put into it. And so
is it guided? Like, is there like a it's guided? Okay. All right.
It is guided. So Guy Atchison generally runs, he generally leads it. He's taken a sabbatical for the last few weeks. So in the interim, several of the students have sort of stepped up to do the leading. So there's also also Sandy McAndrew is really great. She's a part of the Reinventing the Tattoo team, and so she leads quite a few of them. But Jason Leeser led one, Ricardo Sturdivant led one, I led one.
Bruno led one.
Bruno led one. A lot of people have done
All
it.
great
So
artists in their own right.
it's really
Yeah.
been a blast. It has been. It's really been great, and to get other people sort of take on things, I think has also been it's been really beneficial, right? So
Cool.
I
can't
I
wait.
really endorse it. So I hope that if Medusa, hopefully you can come back soon when you got some free time. I know you're at a new shop now, right? And
Yeah, I think I might be able to. Fuck, no, I can't guarantee if I can come back tomorrow. Crap. Yeah, I've been trying for the last couple of months to make time again on Monday nights. But it's been really difficult with my schedule lately.
How do you
Especially
like the new
because
shop?
I love the new shop. It was a really healthy move for me. It is a private studio and basically appointment only. That's a little nerve-wracking because as soon as my carryover appointments run up, I'm just like, ooh, am I gonna still have clients?
Yeah,
As
of course you
opposed to
will.
like the walk-in. Thank you.
Of course you have.
Um, but yeah, I'm finally like really settling in, and because it's 6 p.m. for me, it's kind of like it's one of those things where if I'm working that day, I'm like rushing to try to get home in time for it, and then it's immediately after work. And if I am working on Mondays, that's the end of my work week because Tuesdays and Wednesdays are my day off. So it's like trying to focus on a class immediately after a full work week where I've been working all week. So it was getting really tough for a while for me personally, just because of my schedule. Because that's at the point where I'm like, my brain needs to stop thinking about drawing and get into rest mode. But then I have to try to focus on this class. But my schedule has slowly been turning, and I'm hoping to come back. And I will second the fact that the Monday night classes are so good. You get so much out of them. And Sandy, I love Sandy. Sandy's a great host. So sweet, so informational, and also just kind. Like really like gives you like really helpful critiques that don't make you feel stupid. Yeah, I love Sandy.
that's so important to get
Yeah.
to get constructive feedback, right? I don't know about any of you, but I've certainly had, jerks tell me, really mean shit before, right? I've definitely had it. And so, it's interesting because it can really sort of upset your world, when you get you get some really tough criticism.
Mm,
It really, I've probably grown the most, I think, from those experiences. But at the same time, it's like, I think, constructive criticism, with a little bit of care, you care. And so you're gonna like, there's a bit of, let's just call it manners, right? There's a little bit of you
yeah.
do it with some tact, you do it with some manners,
Have
but you
some
also
food.
offer, you offer, you offer some feedback, and I think that's generally the spirit of the class, is right. We're all really supportive, but we do want to make sure that that everybody's growing, and a part of that is just constant, is the practice, right? You are
Yeah.
practicing and you are doing it, and so it really is helpful.
I said tomorrow earlier and I meant today because I didn't realize that today is Monday.
It's Monday.
Happy Martin Luther King Day, everyone.
Happy Martin Luther
Yay! Happy Martin Luther
Day.
King
Yep.
Day.
I would just like to say one thing, that Martin Luther King we are blessed to have a person, a genius like Martin Luther King, to have been one of the leaders of the civil rights movement at the time. I mean, he was out of this world genius when it comes to human suffrage and getting people out of it and using the weapon of love in order to do that. So
I think his approach was phenomenal. He definitely paved a pathway. You're right about that. Thank you for bringing that up.
Can I share a I did for that?
Say that again.
Can I share a painting I did? A Martin Luther King painting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Let's see what the light's like over here. I did this. They had a skateboard painting competition at the DC Tattoo Expo that entered this in. I didn't place. I did turn it in. Let's see.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Wow.
Oh wow. Could you spotlight that, Jay?
Yeah, let me spotlight that.
Ooh.
That's beautiful.
Whoa.
Wow.
Oh, that's
What
fire.
a powerful portrait.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Oh, I love how you utilize soft elements to make the background,
I was just thinking that.
like soft brushes to kind of like blur the background, but still show what it is. Like you can still tell that's this crowd of people holding signs, like there for a rally for
Wow.
human rights,
Yeah.
but it's soft.
That is very well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, it is, man. It is. I really love the stars at the top. That just really just kind of sets it off.
Thanks.
Because stars would actually go in the sky. Oh, that's dope. And any dreams and the night sky. Oh my God. Yeah, that's beautiful. The layers.
And in a couple of weeks, it's Black History Month too.
Yeah.
Hey.
Beautiful.
Yeah, in a
Steven,
couple of
thank you.
weeks, the
Thank you so much.
birthdays start in my house.
Mm.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, it's a
And
new
I
Thanks for
year.
think
sharing.
Rosa
Thanks for
Parks'
sharing that,
birthday is
man.
on February 4th.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, it is.
Oh, sweet. That's beautiful.
Yeah, no, I'm so glad, right, that everybody you know, everybody is sort of like, is enjoying themselves, is like, finding expression, right? And just sort of like we're supporting each other, it's a community. So I'm really, edified by that. Well, so why don't we talk? I wanted to like talk a little bit about like some art stuff, some more art stuff, and some informational
Yeah.
things. So let me share my screen with you, and let's see. Download the plugin. You got it. There it is.
You see Kyle there in the chat. Hey, Kyle.
Hey, Kyle.
Hi, Kyle.
Which Kyle?
Oh,
Yeah, which one?
Do we got Kyle O or Kyle B?
Kyle O.
Kylo, what's happening? Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, we've Kyle Olson. He's actually leading our drawing group this week with the knives and the fruit. So knives
Nice.
and the food. So we'll be seeing Kyle tonight, Stephen and I. But yeah, Kyle, you're always welcome to join. We love having you. So all right. So I wanted to just sort of quickly talk about this concept. I stole this picture from Guy Atchison's Reinventing the Tattoo book. So, so thanks, Guy, for this. So I wanted to talk a little bit about. So this is the concept that that Guy talks about often in regards to tonal value is positive and negative relationship. Pos and neg is kind of he refers to it. So what does that mean? So what he's talking about when he uses the term pos or positive, it means something dark, right? When he refers to negative, that's the light, right? So the positive is the dark thing, and the negative is the light thing. And so what what this this little image, these images are demonstrating is this idea of something, you know, as the object or the subject that you're looking at being either darker than the background or lighter than the background. And that is a clear strategy. It's a strategy that will help, you know, clarify what it is that the viewer is seeing. So, and I think it's really helpful for us to kind of keep that in mind whenever we're figuring out, you know, we're figuring out light source, we're figuring out like composition, thinking about, you know, so if we say like you're going to figure out where your darks are going to go, this is a part of what the way you can think about it, right? If you were to give the full range of value, darkest darks, lightest lights, you're obviously bringing a lot of priority and emphasis to, say, a given subject. And just because you make the background really dark, it doesn't necessarily give it depth and space, right? It can actually, you know, can do weird flattening things to it. So figuring out like kind of right away what's dark, right, as a local value, right? So something is dark, and then what is light? So what is dark? Positive. What is lighter? Negative. This sort of simple relationship will help you, you know, ultimately sort of strategize like how it is that, you know, how clear you can make things, right? And so how can you make these discernments? You can take a step back. You can, you know, you can always like, let me see. You can, for instance, you know, you can flip things around, right? You can mirror them. You can look at it in a mirror, right? You can also squint your eyes. If you squint your eyes, you can more clearly discern tonal value relationships. You could even, you know, you can even sort of, you know, if you have a color reference that you're using, for instance, you can always change it to grayscale, you know, reduce the amount of, you know, the color information. And so
I have a question, if I
yes,
may
please.
ask. So, which picture of these is the optimal idea? Is it the 2.2B, or maybe, you know what I mean?
They are, so what these are describing are different ways of approaching, right? So,
Okay.
so so 2.2A, the snail is positive on negative, right? So it's darker than the background, right? The snail itself has more value than the background, so it stands out from the background. And then 2.2B is the opposite, is the inverse rather. It's where the snail is lighter and the background is darker. So the point is to sort of demonstrate that you can go either direction with it. But if you don't have this distinction, then it starts to get muddled. It can easily become very muddled. It can become difficult to discern, you know, specificity within your design.
So the bottom is not the optimal one, where the background is kind of the same as the foreground.
Well, so
at least on the right,
so
2.2C.
Well, so they are here's what I would suggest. If you can, try to squint your eyes down just a little bit and look. And so if you were sort of, yeah, no, don't blur. It's just to squint. So when
squint. Okay.
Yeah, squint. So when so our eyes, you know, are amazing, but we have receptors that like receive, you know, different spectrums of light, right? We'll talk more about this later. But when you squint, what you're actually doing is you're actually reducing the amount of color information. So if you could see in color, and so what you see more clearly is tone, light and dark. So if you squint and look at this, I think you can see it almost even more clearly. These are fairly clear, but at the same time, each one is sort of balanced to show. Yeah. So if you squint just a little bit, it's like, oh, they're all very clear, right? And so the difference with the with 22B and C, the lower examples down here, the two at the bottom, is the concept of line versus edge, right? So line and edge quality. And this really kind of leads to, I think, to another triad. Like, so last week we talked about point, line, and plane last week. Point, line, plane, and how they relate to one another. Point develops line, line develops planes, and basically what that is their shapes and their plane, like facets, right? It's how light will be reflected. And so so I think what I like to sort of lead into next is this thought of is shape, edge, and value, right? Shape, edge, value. That's like, that is a triad that I think is sort of, just conceptually can really help us start to think a little bit more in depth about the way it is that we arrange things, about the way that we render things. So you start with a shape. So like, for instance, the shape, we can see the basic shapes of this snail, for instance. Now we talk about pos-neg relationships. That is essentially the value structure, like what's dark, what's light, that sort of thing. And we got Kyle in the house. And then finally, so we get down to the bottom, we have this relationship of edge, right? Line, edge. These are different ways to think about, the perimeter, the shape, right? It's like, how do you define the shape? You're going to define the shape either as an edge or as a line, right? It could be a sharp line. It could be a softened line, all the way to like just a soft edge, where it starts to, if I zoom in a little bit, we can see it starts to, the form starts to turn ever so slightly, right? There's a darker value at the edge, right, of this snail, so there's a sort of undulating pattern of how it gets a little bit more value, between the leaves, but then the leaves overall, they don't get as sharp and as dark as all of the, just put a little layer on here. They don't get quite as sharp and as dark as, above there? Yeah, it's above it. As the line, bad pen. See, the line that's there, right? That darkness, that edge, it indicates for us a priority, right? Of this shape versus the other shapes, right? All these are shapes. The leaves are shapes. The snail is a shape. How do we sort of discern, background from foreground? How do we render it, right? It's like, if you just get in there and you start rendering, it's real easy to sort of to smatter things all over the place, or to sort of destroy the harmony, or the balance. So in this example, in these examples, it's sort of a basic construction of pos-neg relationship. How do you go about, like, just this simple, priority? This is darker. This is lighter. And whatever you do, I think what we're trying, I think what Guy kind of eloquently, states here in these drawings is there isn't like you have a lot of freedom to make your own choices as an artist, right? And you can you can take this and you can really start to build and expound with it. So rather, it's like an old school tattoo sort of, notion is like just alternating dark light, right? And if you've been tattooing a long time, if you're familiar with really traditional, American tattoo style, that's what you see a lot of. And it's sort of like that, but this is a way, I think, to make it a bit more sophisticated, a little bit more sort of, you can make it more representational if you like. I hope that is helpful.
Yeah, so all four of these pictures, I'm sorry, just to,
no, I love
but all
it,
four
yeah.
of these pictures are examples of ways to have positive, negative relationships.
That's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. So there's the basic positive negative relationship, and then there's this relationship of edge versus line. So again, there's there's on the lower to the lower left, that snail has softer edges, but still there's a clear distinction. Like there's the fuller range of value. The same value of line work is not applied to the leaves in the back, for instance. They're reserved for the snail itself, so that way you can really so visually it's distinct for the viewer. It sort of makes it a little bit more apparent for the viewer that you can see this is the subject I want you to pay attention to. It also, like, visually, it places it closer perspectively. So we things that have a greater range of value, the brightest bright and the darkest dark, that is those are things that are closer to our eyes. If we see like a far off distance, the value range gets diminished, right? We don't see the brighter brights, we don't see the darkest darks, and the further away the things get. It's just sort of a phenomenon that we're familiar with, but when we go to draw it, it can be challenging to approach, right? How do you approach these subjects? And so you keep this sort of basic relationship in mind, positive and negative, and then it can help. It can really help you. I think even still, if we look at this example, where the snail is a negative, it's the lighter, right? And the background is more positive. It has a darker sort of quality to it. Even still, there's a fuller value range because of the outlines around the snail that help draw it out, bring it forward. So even though, so again, with that squinting trick, if you squint at it and you look at it, it's like, oh, I can clearly see the snail is much lighter than the background in this example. But as when I open my eyes fully and I look at it, it's like, oh, it's beautifully rendered. I can, it's like, there's all this nuance and subtlety. But again, you go down and you squint, it's like, it's very clear. There's a very clear, distinct intention. This is lighter, that's darker. And then the next strategy, in order to bring more priority, is in this case, the edge quality, which is, in this case, lines, right? So the lines are used and they really start to bring, they bring that sharper focus. Right. Yeah. So this was something, I don't know if it was exactly this example or not, but, probably is over over 20 years ago, when I had my copy of Reinventing the Tattoo, the book. I saw this, and it really helped sort of click something for me. And then later on, when I got into art school, when I was in fundamentals class, my fundamentals teacher talked about this idea of the figure and the ground relationship, and I immediately went back to this positive negative relationship. Like this is what Guy's talking about. So figure and ground relationship. What does that mean?
Dang, that just kind of made when you said that kind of makes sense. Go ahead.
So figure ground relationship is exactly this: is something is darker against some, or something is there's distinction. Something is either darker against lightness or lighter against darkness. And then again, so it can become very complex. But for instance, when I see the lettering, the words on this page, right? And I, if I were to zoom in and stuff, just sort of keep the lettering, right? Well, how are we discerning these letters from the page, let's say, right? There's a figure ground relationship. The figure in this case are the letters, the letter forms, and the ground is the paper, or the background. We're able to focus, and we're able to discern individual letter forms, and then we gets more complicated. We group them together into words and then into sentences and so on and so forth. But it's because of this basic organistic function that we have for discerning figures from the ground, right? Same thing. Like if you were to invert this, and it have light letters on dark, it's, you know, like in our Zoom windows, our names are written that way. Light figure against a dark ground. It's, of course, this is, you know, this is graphic, but this is the way that we are able to make discernments, right? If everything's gray on gray, it becomes much more challenging. It becomes much more difficult. But figure ground, right, is basically how, you know, how we perceive the world. And so we perceive, when we're looking out at anything, we're gonna find something and we're going to discern it from the rest. Like, I found my coffee cup and I was able to pick it out from the background, you know. I was able to see the contours, the edges of its shape, and, you know in space where it is. And a lot of times in drawing, that can be a useful sort of, can be useful as a strategy to be able to know that stuff. So right, that's a big part of what I really wanted to share today, was this dark light, right? Something's dark, something's light. You're figuring out, like, you really want to find, pick a light source. The light is going to describe the planes, right? Like, for instance, we see on the snails, like, there's a side of the snail's shell, there's a front of the snail's face or something, and they're like on a similar plane. So they're actually getting the same kind of light. Hope that makes sense, right? It's sort of like, like my hand, my hand is getting light on this side, and so is this side of my face. They're on the same plane, right? And so that's the way that we can start to think about planes. Is like, what are the planes are describing.
Now that's interesting,
right? Like, so we see a box, so we see a box, and it has different planes to it, right? It has different sides. There's a top and a side, right? And then there's another side, and it's getting different lights, right? There's different values associated with each of these planes, and so that's what the planes are. It's a side, and you start to think about, when you start to see lighting is describing the relationship of the plane to that light source. It indexes it. It's like, where's the light coming from? The plane is reflecting it back. The plane is reflecting it, like, directly back to the light source, but then, just like the video that you shared with us, I think 2 weeks ago, Spirit, with how light sort of functions. It bounces off of everything, right? Let me share this one with you. So this is an example. I'll probably come back to this one, use it again. I like to recycle too. But in this example, I'm describing how the light is illuminating this orange, right? It's an orange. Hopefully you can tell, even though it's monochromatic. But when the light strikes, right, it's the highlight. Let's see if I can. I'll just do another layer quickly. I want to say hey to Kyle. Thanks for joining, Kyle.
Kyle?
I saw you pop in, so
Hello.
I'm glad to see.
Yeah, hi everybody.
Hey, Kyle.
Looking forward to tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah. So real quick, I just wanted to talk about, like, so the planes, right? If we think about, we talked about the planes of the head, last week, how, like, again, there's like this basic, like the side, the front, the top, the bottom, and then you can get into details, right? All of the smaller plane shifts, right? It kind of starts to make the face look more rounded. Think about the same thing in a spherical sort of object like this orange. There are it's like an innumerable amount of small planes, right? Elise can probably talk more about this with like 3D modeling, right? All of the little planes that you would sort of use to
Faces.
to model something, right? So anyway, so we can see here with the with the highlight, it's like this is the plane that is directly facing the light. That's why you get this. That's why you would get this highlight. It's the one that's most perpendicular. So light's coming down, right? A plane that's like totally perpendicular is going to reflect like 100% of the light. You're going to get this. You're going to get this bright, illuminated highlight. Again, it sort of depends on the surface how reflective it actually is. So like on an eyeball, it's your eyeballs are generally wet, so you get this specular highlight. It's wet, and it shines forth this really bright highlight. But as the light is traveling down,
that's
from the
crazy.
source, yeah, it once it reaches a certain point, it can't, it doesn't it's no longer reflecting, it's no longer striking any surface. Like, so what this is, so what the, where this shadow that I'm talking about, that's essentially saying like, all right, so light is traveling down, right? And then it's just, it's passing right next to, right? So you see this, so here the light strikes this surface totally perpendicular and it reflects back. Here the light is passing totally parallel to the plane, to the surface, right? And that's what
I took a picture
causes
of this this phenomenon yesterday. Like like there was light shining through the garage, and it bounced off my car, and then it made like another beam of light, and it fascinated me. So I took a picture of it. So just seeing this here, it makes sense. Like okay, it's like a splash almost. You know what I mean?
Exactly. That's what's happening in this shadow zone. Light is hitting this surface and then bouncing back, right? And it's causing this region here this is what we'd refer to as reflected light. But there's a small area down here, I've listed it here, no light can reach. So occluded, right? So there's this little edge. Again, we're back to this sort of concept that the figure, the ground, the shape, the value, the edge. We get this little tiny edge, even though there really isn't lines per se in this particular example, because the figure and the ground, or the pause and the neg, are so they're more distinct. I don't have a lot of rendering around this. It's just the shape, just this, the spherical, object. So here it is. There's a little line, and you can see it too, especially, so if you, put your hand down on the table, if the table is light enough, you'll see this small edge. It's very, very dark. What's happening? Light is reflecting off of everywhere else and is illuminating as many different planes as it can until it gets to this point where it simply can't travel any further and then come back to us. So, right.
So you think it's
think
like pitch black at that point?
It's the darkest. If you're focused on it, it's the darkest dark that you'll see.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It was interesting. I was thinking about, so our pupils, for example, and in our eyes, they're an opening. They let light photons in, and so once this photon goes into your eye and it sort of hits the receptor, it makes chemical signals, and it makes signals and stuff, and it goes to the brain, and the brain does its imaginative process, stitching together the information. But I'm sort of like, I've wondered, it's like, to my understanding, there's like, again, there's energy and stuff there, but there's like this annihilation of the photon at a certain point. Right? The photon, it just that's what physics tells us. Like, it becomes annihilated, at a certain point. I'm like, I've always wondered. I'm like, oh, I wonder what happens to it, is when the photon becomes annihilated. It's interesting, and there's I don't know. Yeah, I really don't. But as far as representing it, we can always use this range, right? This tonal value range, darkest dark, and highlight. That brings something as close to us as we can see it. And so, as something were to go further and further away, we wouldn't see this relationship you know, as strongly. Anyway, I have I just had a drawing that I, you know, that I did, and I was hoping that it kind of like, showed this relationship of, you know, figure ground and
That is
positive
insanely
negative.
good.
Thank you. So the figure in this case is lighter than the background, right? And then of course, like there's a, you know, there's a middle tone to the pillows and the drapes and stuff. But you know, sort of thinking about it just in terms of this positive negative relationship, and then all the other things we were talking about earlier with the shape, value, edge. I guess the way that I think about shadows, and you know, I'm not the only one, but I think that it's helpful. If you think about, or if you're looking at a shadow and you're trying to, you know, trying to figure out how do I shade this, how do I render this thing, I think what can be really useful and helpful is to look at the edge quality of the shadow, right? So what do I mean by that? Well, here, you know, along yeah. So here along this, you know, this sort of the plane of the thigh right here, it's a softer, get rid of that. It's a softer edge, right? The edge is is softened. This sort of describes the form of the plane, right? So that, you know, there's all these planes, light is hitting it at various angles, and so on the form, the shadow is a sort of slightly softer quality, and then we get this phenomenon here called the terminator, right, or the core shadow. It's the darkest area on the form itself. But then if we were to come over here and look at the quality edge, you know, the quality of this edge of this shadow, it's much firmer, right? It's much sharper. It's much more of like a line, crisper sort of a line, right there. Or even right here is another one, right? And so those types of shadows are cast shadows, right? So there's form shadow and cast shadow. Those are really the two families of shadows that I think they kind of fall into those categories. That it's either cast, or it's describing a form, or it's describing where the light is not hitting the form, if that makes sense. So to kind of return to the, you know, to the example, here is another, there's that same orange that I showed earlier, but
Like
this
that's kind
time
of one of my questions. How do you determine the shape of the shadow? You know, do you just kind of, yeah, like how do you determine the shape of the shadow?
So
Is there a trick for it?
there is some tricks to do it from, you know, imagination.
Mm-hmm.
It depends on what light source you're talking about. If it's an inside light, if it's an inside light, then there's a way to do it. If it's the sun, there's another way to do it. You know, I definitely want to talk about that a little bit more. And I was thinking, you know, next time. So I wanted to talk about. But in this case, I think
my
what's
shadows
interesting,
always make the shape look like a sticker, like it's just flat. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just laying on something, and
sure.
you know.
So well, I can maybe, hopefully I get this right. Okay, so let's say we've got pardon me. Yeah. All right, so let's say we've got a light source, right? Light source. And it is you know, it's shining in all directions. Right? But let's just put a stick on the ground. Right? We'll just put a stick on the ground, and I'll make it a different color, so that way I can discern it from other stuff. So here's a stick on the ground, right? It's in the ground, right? Just to, you know, put a just follow me, hopefully.
Mm-hmm. I'm following.
All right. Okay, good. So wherever the light source is, let's say that the light source is, just for simplicity, that it's right there in relationship to the ground, right? If this stick were here, it would be right underneath it, right? So if we were to sort of triangulate, so from this point, this is where the light source relates. This is the light source to the ground. So from here, we run a line from the base of the object, and then from the light source to the top of the object, this is the shadow that would cast, right? Let's try it again, and we'll do it slightly differently. So we're going to move the light source. Come on. So we'll move the light source where it interfaces with the ground, and I'll put it here instead, right? So now this is where the light source is. That's the alignment to the ground wherever it's standing at. Okay. Next, so we'll do the same thing. We'll triangulate, and then, well, it's too extreme of an angle, but yeah, to there. Let's say it right there, like that. That would be the shadow with this particular light source. And so hypothetically, if we were to say, turn this into a wall, let's just remove it. We'll just sort of, now it's a wall, now it's a plane, right? We could do the same sort of operation, and there. So it would be like that. So this would be the shadow for that wall with this particular light source. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I think if you play with it, you know what I mean, you can start to, so that's the simple thing. You just need you need those points, whatever your object is. And so again, if you were to develop it further, and make develop it further, you could let's see, what if it were to go like this, so kind of an awkward shape, but still another portion of our wall. How would this look? So from our light source, hit this bottom of this pole here, this edge of the wall, and then from here, something like that, right there. And then so, like some sort of like a screen or something like that. You put up a screen and it starts to sort of, it's going to make a particular shadow. This is a terrible example, I know, but let me, so for a spherical object, the shadow is going to be an ellipse, right? It's a circle, but seen in perspective. So again, so a shadow that you're going to have for, in this case, this orange, or, so for any other kind of spherical object, it's going to become elliptical in shape. And so you kind of, so if you're drawing it, you can look for that. Again, once it's really, it's almost contrived when you have one single light source. Like it's kind of made up. You have to sort of, intentionally do it. Because so often there's just so many light sources coming from all over the place. So as you're seeing it, I think if you can conceptualize the way shadows work and break it down simply, then you can extrapolate the more complicated light sources that you have seen. You could end up like sort of prioritizing some over others. You could end up sort of having like there's a one common light source is the brightest one, and you want to emphasize that, and I think that could be helpful. So I think that for this week's homework, or for this week sort of like like as you're working on stuff, I don't know if there's anything specific, like you can do it, but as you're working on stuff, I would think about this, prioritizing the positive and the negative relationship, this pos-neg relationship. see if there's any place that you can work this in. Like I went to render this thing and I immediately thought that this needs to be the darker. That doesn't mean it has to be like, all the way, like there's no subtlety. I think you can add nuance and subtlety, but overall, this will be darker than that. The object will be darker than the background, or the background will be darker than the object, one or the other. And that's going to help bring clarity, and then hopefully a little bit more, hopefully help to simplify, really, really complex sorts of, shading problems that we always seem to face. Yeah, so that was that was what I wanted to talk about this week, and hopefully tie it together to to the things that we were talking about last week. Very conceptual, point, line, plane. This week is shape, edge, and value. Right? So we think about, you have to juggle all those things together, but I think once they become kind of second nature to you, you'll see where you'll see where they start to, where you start to deviate from them. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're always going to get it right, but it helps you, I think, critique your own work in a more constructive way, rather than just saying like, I suck, I'm no good, I'm terrible at this. You instead,
You're looking at it with a more informed eye.
I hope so. You can grow from, you can learn from the experience that way, I hope. You know what I mean? Like you can see what you've done, and you can, next time around, or even, maybe there's time to correct it, or to make it closer to what you had in mind. That's the hope, is really, it's like through all the labor that we do, that we end up, coming up with, with expressions that are useful, like, and that are like, I guess that are meaningful for you, meaningful for your audience. Shows your values, right? It talks about demonstrates your values and how you, things that you care about. So anyway, I hope that was helpful. I really do. I think it's, again, it's kind of somewhat heady of concepts, but the practical stuff is like, how do we render things? And just get back to the simple stuff. It could really be very simple, before you have to, before you go into all of the subtlety, before you get into all of the details. Again, you start off with that, with relationship, and then the complexity really kind of emerges out of this, this sort of simple relating of one thing to another. So
that's one of the things I do have issues with, is determining the priority in the piece. Like I do recognize that the things that you're supposed to see are supposed to stand out the most, supposed to have the highest contrast. But oftentimes in tattoos, I think the major difference for me is that I work on mostly black skin. So my canvas already has a tone, right? A tone on the value scale. So that's one of the challenges that, that I'm, still working on. And of course, every skin is a tonal value, clearly. Yeah, just kind of determine the priorities in the art is kind of one of the things that I have issues challenge with.
You got it. You really nailed it, though. And it's sort of like you may not have, given a particular scenario, you may not be able to have the fullest range, right, of gray and stuff like that. But you're going to have a lightest light and a darkest dark. And so bringing those in relationship, I think, can be really powerful. And then, of course, it's sort of like you have to have more discernment about priority, have even more discernment about how you can bring emphasis and how you can bring, clarity to particular, project or a particular sort of instance when you're trying to render something, when you're trying to, you're trying to tattoo it, you're trying to draw it, whatever. But yes, you've got to you've got to be in tune to attune yourself to the needs of, you know, your particular project that you're working with. And I think that's very, you know, very good way to go about it. So I feel like we're ignoring Kyle. Hey Kyle, how you doing?
Oh, Kyle, what's up, Kyle?
Kyle.
No, you're doing your thing, man. Don't even
Hey.
stress. Like you're
Oh,
you're
no,
doing awesome.
So glad you could make it. Well, wanted to touch base with you. So Kyle is a fantastic artist, and so it's really great that you're here. Did you have any artwork you wanted to share? Did you have anything you wanted to share with us? Not to put you on the spot, but
specifically, I don't know. I was just messing around trying to figure out like the overall silhouette of it might take me a second to bring it up of tonight's or the Monday night thing. I'm messing with the shape of the blade, trying to make it more interesting. There it is. But I'm the thing I'm struggling with right now with it is how to frame it out, because I'm trying to keep it simple to where it's like the you know the 1, 2, 3, you know, the order of the hierarchy of the overall design, and just kind of struggling with the third part track, because I'm trying to frame it in and make the overall silhouette interesting, but I don't know, like it's just hard to overall read with everything that I got going on with it. Virtual camera, and then the other button.
Ooh.
Whoa, what the heck? Why is that showing the old one? There we go. All right. But yeah, just like the one on the right, it's like it has a lot going on, but I feel like
I love it.
yeah, I just feel like it's a lot going on. And so I changed up the knife and tried to make the knife a little bit more interesting. And now I'm trying to frame everything in with like leaves and stuff like that. But like, I don't know, just like the overall silhouette of the whole thing, it just becomes super muddy and you can't even tell like the knife's in there and stuff like that. It might
What? That's what you think? That's what that when you look at this, you feel as though you can't really see the knife of the thing on the right?
Oh, like the overall silhouette is
okay.
what I mean. It's gonna take a minute. I'm duplicating the layer and then making it darker to where it's just like shows this the silhouette of the whole thing. Just to see if it's interesting and stuff like that itself.
Oh, that's interesting, because I guess from a distance that's what you're going to see for the most part. So the outline is interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I'd have to look it up again, but like that, it's something that deals with like when you look at an image and stuff like that, and like the brain just like kind of sees like the overall silhouette of the thing. I can't remember what it was, but
if you could have your way with this piece, if you could just blink your eyes and it would you change immediately with zero effort, what would you kind of do to it to make the shape more appealing to you?
Well, if I wanted to, I could like just leave the one on the right, leave the layer like that, and then just start erasing stuff to where I'm creating more edges and or like working on the edge work of everything. My stuff is super laggy. I'm sorry, guys. But I would just go through and then just work on like the edge of everything to where it's like definitely a leaf or a basil leaf or whatever, and this is obviously you know here thing, and then just like little gaps, just strengthen the overall silhouette of it. Is a possible route,
I guess. So I really, you know, before you like doubled up the background, I could really see the silhouette that you're talking about. All the edges of every leaf made it, you know, sort of interesting, sort of, you know, move out into the space, right? And there was a really clear pos-neg relationship, right? There was so the knife had some edge quality as far as like there was a line, sharper, sort of bolder outline around it, but then the blade was light. So there was a real I think there was a real attentiveness to that need. But I think, you know, it's the same old problem, just like you were saying. Like there's going to be this initial sort of perception of the silhouette, but then like we're gonna, because of the priority that you want to give to the subject, the knife, the other stuff has to be lower priority.
Yeah, 100%.
It has to be more subtle, and I think so I guess I just want to sort of just say that I'm encouraging what you do have so far. Like I think it really kind of works. If anything, you could even make it simpler rather than more. It could be like lower contrast in the back. The leaves could be just sort of like less outline, more of a particular value. That's just a thought. You know what I mean? Just and it would still have the silhouette that you're talking about, but just continue
makes sense.
Continue the priority that you've already assigned to the various elements. And but it's awesome, dude. It really is.
Thank you.
And I think too, like you're at this design, you're still in this sort of value, construction phase. And so I think just because not everybody's going to see it later, but it's likely it's going to be like, totally full solid color. It's going to be incredible looking. So, yeah, it's going to be great. But I think, like your decisiveness will be, I think that'll really be the part that's extra awesome. Oh, get spirit.
Well,
zoom in. Yeah, I just this is the thought. Well, I think that's the thing. It's like, not to even to say do it this way, but just more like we're a second set of eyes.
Yeah.
Like you've been working on it a bunch, and we all get like, I think we all get like tunnel vision and stuff, and we're like, oh my God, this is this is this way specifically. And I think you've really got a great motif and design going on. So from a distance, because right now it's sort of, you spaced it back. I'll like open it up for others if anybody else has sort of a notion about it. But I think the leaves are super interesting that way. There's a nice variety to them.
I like it. I mean, I think it's nice looking.
Really nice, yeah.
I'm a sucker for like the whole like bouquet look, I guess is what it is, to where it's just like a whole like I Spy thing, to where you got like a little bit of Arlie here, this, that, and the other thing, little flower hair, stuff like that. But I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. I just, that's one thing I just try to keep in mind, is just like the overall silhouette. And I feel like the blade is a little bit lacking, and just trying to make it better. And I greatly appreciate the insight, guys. If there's anything else that stands out to anybody else, please let me know.
I love it.
Yeah, there you go. I think too, it's kind of interesting, the orange that's really centered, so with the in the composition with the extra leaves and stuff, the orange is really centered on the blade. I'm sorry, the handle rather. And I think it's a very interesting graphic sort of approach. It makes it much more graphic looking to me. Like the other one that's to the left, it's sort of, the blade breaks the plane of the the handle breaks the plane of the orange. It's sort of, the orange is behind it, in front of it, sort of. What I'm saying is that like it's more naturalistic that way. It has a sort of I think so. For me, I like particularly I like the one on the right with all the extra leaves, and I like the one with, I like the orange and stuff right there. Just personally, I like it. But it's a subjective thing. Like, what do you like? What is, if it's for your client, what do they like? So.
I have a question about just kind of the neg-pos relationship. So the tip of the knife, do we think that maybe if we would make it lighter, that it would pop out the tip of the knife, or are you going for the knife kind of being more one with the tip of the knife kind of being more one in the background with the piece?
Well, yeah, I definitely think like just like the tip of the knife, just completely take that. Because I was just trying to strengthen like the focal points of the focal point, I guess. And if I were to do a highlight or make the blade lighter and have that little orange behind the tip right there, that would make sense. But taking that completely away definitely helps.
I like that a lot, Kyle. I like that sharp point.
Yeah.
That you just sort of
I like the
emerged out of
silhouette that creates.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it to me, it creates a better contrast between the softness of the piece overall and then the knife.
Yeah.
I feel like it also brings that little orange in the front forward more.
It brings it forward. Yeah, it does.
Yeah. Yeah, that totally makes sense. Thank you, guys.
Totally.
Heck
beautiful work, Kyle. Yeah,
thank you,
beautiful
guys.
work.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Gorgeous.
Definitely.
Try to get this sucker done before tonight. So
I hear you.
That's
know that?
cool.
I hear you. So that was, thanks for sharing that. And also like, thanks for, for letting us chime in a little bit on it. I feel like, I felt like that was really helpful for us too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it
we're
was.
looking at your work and we're like looking at like, at the decisions you made. I honestly like, I got ideas, for things that I'm going to be drawing today and things that I want to do. So, I thought there was a lot of positives in there and also, a lot of really smart things. So,
yeah. Well, thank you guys for
thank you.
like always getting like fresh set of eyes, different ideas, this, that, and the other thing, like different viewpoints on it. It helps out so much. And it's such a fun aspect of like the whole building process of your projects. So having that interaction with other people, it's a great way to learn things and to rethink about stuff. So thank you guys. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Thank you for letting us know.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well,
speaking of, sorry.
Yeah. Go ahead, please.
I realized I never shared the pieces that I was working on
Cool.
this week.
Please do.
They're 3D pieces because I'm working on my portfolio right now. So this says disabled participant screen sharing.
Oh, let me enable that here.
Knock, knock, let me in.
Can you do it yet?
Yes. Okay.
Cool.
Screen share, not you. So I've been rendering. Can you see
Neat.
what I'm showing? Yeah. So this is one of my pieces. I actually entered this into a show in the fall, but this is going to be one of my main portfolio pieces. It's actually a recreation of my brother flies planes.
That's so cool.
This is a recreation of his plane, but my version.
Oh, so
It's
cool.
my version of it. So his is called it's named 30 Romeo Mike. So I named this one the Juliet Michelle instead of Romeo Mike. Yeah. And then not you. Sorry. And then this one. I just did a re-render of this. This was a recreation of a hotel in Japan. Just because I'm really interested in going into possibly furniture manufacturing or product modeling, or even like interior modeling. And this is one of my favorite projects that I've done. It turned out really well.
That's really nice.
That's really sharp.
Thank you. Yeah.
Even the sky rendering as well.
Yeah, that's actually called a HDR light. So basically someone takes like a really expensive camera and they take a 360 photo of it, and it captures the information of the lighting from that day. So basically I can plug that into shaders in my program in order to use as information that the computer calculates the lighting.
Whoa, wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Cool.
So now this is actually a space that you created. Like we could, you could actually, I mean, like you could, if we were with you, you could show us more angles of this space.
Yes.
Am I correct there?
Yes. This is a
Everything's
still render
modeled.
of it, but yeah.
Right.
And there's a whole other side of the the room that I have to take renders of too. So like there's a bunch of other stuff in there too. So yeah, that's what I've been working on.
Amazing.
That's
I kind
so
of feel
cool.
like
Mhm.
if I were to just see that as an image, I wouldn't even question it. You know what I mean? I wouldn't necessarily go to, oh, that's a 3D model right away. I'd probably say,
No,
oh,
Right.
because
this
you
looks like a
walk
beautiful
right into
hotel
it.
room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very convincing. And
Thank you.
Mhm.
yeah, it's above my pay grade, I'm afraid. But amazing. No, it really is.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's amazing what the kids are doing these days. So,
Mhm.
I am I'm just like I feel so great about oh,
Hi,
see you later,
Steven.
Steven. Steven's gotta go.
That's
Bye,
Steve.
Steven.
I feel so great about today's show. I had such a fun time with all of you and getting to see what you all are working on. And then getting to chat about, some art concepts that I hope are helpful. So again, I just want to like encourage everybody to think about like positive negative relationships. Think about the, how can we sort of simplify what it is that we're drawing when we're working. Um, and and then next week hopefully we'll do some drawing next week. We're supposed to draw here, so
I
but
think
we
the problem is
get
we have a room full
yeah,
of jabberjaws.
that's true. No, it's
Nothing
very
wrong with
true.
that.
I'm
Mhm.
enjoying the information you give us and then giving it to us
Yeah.
to apply. I'm
Mhm.
enjoying that
Cool.
part. So,
Good.
Yeah.
It
And
gives us time to ruminate.
yes.
Good.
Yeah. And
Good.
the thing is, James, like I had the book, Reinventing the Tattoo, and I remember that page with the snails on it. And we talk about learning layers. I didn't quite get it when I got it, but I didn't get it. You know what I mean? So it's just like you guys said, it's just ruminating, just going over and over these simple concepts that are just going to help
Yeah.
you just, make those neural connections.
Excellent. That's excellent. Yeah, so that's the way I kind of feel about it too. It's like there's so much in Reinventing the Tattoo, the book, the canon. There's so much information in there. The more that that I work with it, the more that I get. And so your foundational texts that are really important, they're a font of information, of knowledge, right? You can always go back to them and get more out of it the next time. I think that's sort of the distinction about like really great works, whether it's art or literature. There's always something that you can get out of it again. So I just really want to thank everybody so much for coming and for contributing, and it really is it's not the same without you. So so thanks again for making it what it is. And so let's do some sign-offs, and we'll call it a day for today. So so Kyle, can we start with you?
Yeah,
Give
sure.
us a sign-off.
Yeah.
Thanks.
My name is Kyle Olson. You can find me on Instagram at Olson_tattoos. And you can reach out to me through there. That works out great.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kyle. It was we'll see you tonight. So I'm excited about tonight's class. So thanks again. Medusa, give us a sign off.
Hi, I'm Medusa. You can find me at my website, medusaslays.com, or on Instagram, medusaslays with 3 S's at the end, like a snake. And I am happy to be here, and I am also happy to go back to bed.
Me too.
Good
Thanks
morning,
for coming.
everyone.
Yeah, good morning. Yeah,
Good
thanks for sharing your creative project, the rat taxidermy. amazing.
Taxidermy.
Taxidermy.
Fun fact, I'm actually horribly afraid of taxidermy.
Oh, fun. I'm just shoving it in the camera. Good thing there's a computer between us to
Yeah, it's
like
mostly in
protect
person.
you. Yeah. Okay.
Beautiful. No, thank you, Medusa. It's great to have you. Thanks for coming. Spirit, give us our sign off.
Hey guys, I am Spirit. You can find me on the Instagram, Tattoos by Spirit, TikTok, Tattoos by Spirit, and my website, tattoosbyspirit.com. This is a pleasure. I am so thankful that we have this class that holds me accountable. I look forward to it every morning. I remember the first time I joined, I was like, oh God, I hope this class is going to help me. And I have been doing a lot of self-help as a result of the class, just been putting in the work, and it's been very enriching. So I'm really excited to actually join Guy Atchison's subscription to the book. It sounds like it's just really, really helpful and really great. So I thank you guys for being a part of this class, and I also thank you guys that are watching out there in cyberspace. Love you guys. See you next Monday.
Thank you, Spirit. Yeah. Please join. It'd be awesome. Awesome to have you there. So, it really is like, this is a cool group, man. I don't know, I really appreciate all you too. So, Amber, let's have your sign off, please.
All right. I'm Amber from New Jersey, and you can find me under all social media sites at Amber Morgan.
Thank you, Amber. And so you were telling us earlier about your shop is going great.
Yeah, how's that going?
Loving it.
Oh, I'm loving it. We had so much fun on Friday. We really did.
Friday
Y'all
the
do Friday the
13th
13th?
Tattoos. Yes, it was chaos, and I thrived on every minute of it. I have missed being in a shop so much.
Oh, that's so great.
That's excellent.
You
seem super
I've
happy.
gone back to being an apprentice. I'm fine with that. I'm just
cool,
plugging away, doing what I got to do, and I'm loving it.
Outstanding.
Seem like you're glowing.
Yeah.
Thank you. I kind of am. I'm riding the wave. But
keep it up.
I have arranged my entire apprenticeship around Mondays, so I can be here Mondays.
That is that's outstanding. No, we're glad to have you. We're grateful for you to come, and you're a real contributor to this group. So we're so it's excellent. I'm so glad that you're you're here, and that you're also you feel like you're getting something out of it, and sharing your journey with us. Right? You're doing new stuff all the time, and so it's always great to keep up with you. Yeah, it's awesome.
Every day's an adventure.
Yeah, fuck yeah. Elise, give us your sign off.
All right. Hello, I'm Elise. I'm a 3D artist. And you can find me on Instagram at my new Instagram, Elise Morrow Visuals.
Cool.
Yeah. Because I'm trying to brand.
I have to look you up now.
There's nothing on there yet.
Why did you get a new Instagram?
But yeah, I'm trying to do all my branding and like consolidate everything into one name. So.
Cool.
Yeah, it's hard. It's tough.
Yeah.
Tough to play the marketing game, but
well, luckily, Elise and Morrow are not normal names. So.
How do you spell Morrow?
Like tomorrow without the two.
Oh, okay. Elise Morrow. What? Elise Morrow. Visuals. Found ya.
Hey.
Follow the shit out of you.
So I'm on Instagram and Artspace.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great. Seriously, thank you for sharing. Your beautiful crafts, the houses that you made, your pandemic houses, and then also your 3D models. Yeah, they're incredible.
Thank you.
So yeah, we're excited to keep up with you and see what you're doing next. So thanks for coming.
Thank you.
And
glad to be here.
Thanks everybody for coming. Happy Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And I just want to say thanks again to Reinventing the Tattoo for helping make this possible. Thanks again to Guy Atchison. And also, just one more time to thanks to the gang here, and thanks to everybody out there watching and listening. This has been Drawing for Tattooers. I'm James Wisdom. You can find me at tattooingwisdom.com and Instagram at tattooingwisdom. So happy drawing, everyone, and we'll see you